And Steve Taylor, the financial dad here, helping you win the long game. So today's topic, I'm going to talk about something that gets talked about a lot, but I'm really going to talk about it in a different way. And that topic is really estate planning, right? Wills, trusts, providing for your kids or your family should you not be around. And really, what I'm going to talk about this is that as you're sitting down, if you have not done your estate plan, listen, you need to address it, right? You need to address it and go through it. But if you are going through it, I think it's a really great idea, especially when you're thinking as for your kids, that your estate plan should really match your parenting style, right? And so, what do I mean by that? So some parents are very open and very fluid with their kids. They very much encourage their kids to learn for themselves. They give them guidance, but they don't mandate, right, what they should do. They allow them to walk through life, learn from themselves, stumble, nick their knee, and come back up, right? If that's the type of parent you are that you're doing, you should have your estate plan match that, right? Because it's kind of going to be a shock. As an estate planning attorney for many years, it was always the biggest challenging situations is that when a parent passes away and the kids are looking at their estate plan and their documents and they find it to be in a way that was never like how they knew their parents to be, right? It didn't match their personality. Why are you doing this? What's happening here? Okay. That's a number one point that then leads to contention or challenges. And they really, the kids, the family might come in and say, oh no, this is the attorney's doing, whatever it might be, right? That's not really what my parent wanted. So you really got to think about, hey, what kind of parent was I? And my estate plan should match that. And we'll talk about that, right? The different type of parent might be a more stringent, right? I'm not say a little bit of a helicoptering kind of parent, but they like to listen, have everything done for their kids, really over them all the time, tell them what they can and can't, and they feel that really strict discipline approach is the way to do it. It's not necessarily my style, it's not necessarily what I recommend, but hey, listen, whatever works for you is the way that you should go. Okay. So when you're sitting down and you're starting to go through this estate plan and you're talking with the attorney, it's very simple to craft the plan to match the type of person that you are, right? You're going to say, hey, listen, we have certain assets. If we pass away, maybe we want to put a certain amount of limitation on our kids, but at a certain age, whether what might be 25, 30, whatever we feel might be a good age, we're just going to give that money, to the kids, and we feel they're going to be responsible and they're going to do with it as they would. Okay. Because the parents say, I don't want to necessarily pull the strings. I don't want to limit them, right? I've raised them to be responsible for this and I prepared them for them. We have these conversations, right? We've gone through that. So you do that kind of plan. The other plan is, hey, maybe, I don't know, I question my child's judgment. Now, if you have a special needs situation, a kid like that, that's a whole lot of different planning. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. I'm happy to talk about that. A lot of experience in that. But the other one to say, hey, I'm not really sure to trust their judgment. I want to put someone else in place for certain ages to help them to certain times to put that for them. And if that's what you want to do, okay, that's what you can do. All right. Now, regardless of whether you do the more free, fluid type plan or the more restrictive plan, it is vital that you talk to your kids, you talk to the family, you talk to everybody that you have named in there so that they understand what was your intent, why you're doing it this way, and how you want them to be. Many times when you go through that process, you will get a lot of great feedback that will really help you to maybe, hey, I thought this maybe was the case of what I want to do, but let's change that, right? Let's change that, let's modify that, let's take this person out, let's put this provision in, whatever it might be. It's really, really important to go through that, right? And so many times also acknowledge with your kids that, hey, this is a tough situation. When your parents pass away, it's really tough at whatever age, whatever it might be, it's tough, and let them know who are the people that they can reach out to that can support them, whether it's other family members, whether it's friends, whether it's a trusted advisor, whatever that might be, let them know, right? Let them know and have these conversations with those people. I'll give you a great example, and this is with a state plan that was a parent went in and they created a really intricate estate plan. Actually, it was one spouse. It wasn't a parent, one spouse. And they went in and created this plan, and it was a good plan. It took into account taxes and all this stuff. And so I remember sitting down. It was the husband in the situation, and the wife is sitting there, and she says, and we walk her through it. We say all this great planning that was done, and she says, you know what? He never talked to me about this. He didn't tell me what we were doing. He didn't explain it to me what we were doing. It kind of got forced down my throat. I'm not going to abide by any of this. I'm going to blow it up. And even though we talked to her about the negative consequences of that, she didn't care. She wasn't brought into it. It wasn't explained to her, and thus she felt no obligation to follow it. So don't make that same mistake. Talk to your people, right? Now, one final thing that I like to say, and this is a big thing I bring out in my parenting: equal versus fair. It doesn't have to be equal to be fair. One of the biggest things that I hear from parents, right? You probably heard this all the time. Hey, I don't know what happened. I raised both my kids the same exact way. Why did one turn out one way and the other one turn out the other way? And my response to them is because you raised them both the same exact way. You didn't take into account their differences or what the needs of one over the other, right? And I've seen very recently, in fact, situations where when the parents go talk to the children, like one child's been very successful financially, the other child has had other challenges, we'll say, right, or hasn't had opportunities. So the successful one says, "Hey, mom, dad, I think that's fine. You can leave. I know you love me. You don't need to leave me half of everything you have. In the situation was two kids to show that you love me. Take care of the other sibling. I know they need it, and please put me in charge of this to help them however I can." That is the best thing to do. Not that it's equal, but that it's fair, right? And have those conversations with them, especially if you don't want to do just a 50-50. It's important. They will understand. Kids of all ages, you'll be amazed at how much they'll understand. Okay. So when we're thinking about the long game here, right? And let me tell you this: with estate plans, everything is changeable, right? But when we're thinking about the long game here, it's important to have these conversations, go through it, have the plan match your parenting style, and have the conversations with your kids. And fair, remember, doesn't mean equal. It's very important. Hardly ever does it mean equal. All right. If you find this helpful, parents, kids, let me know. There's other topics you want me to talk about. You want to talk about special needs or other items out there? I'm happy to talk to you about this. Take care, team.